Hi, this is Chris from the Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from Political Voices Network.
Trump's latest 3 a.m. insane rant against Judge Chutkan. I mean, how much of this is she going to put up with? I mean, this is obviously exactly what she said not to do. Go ahead.
It seems like she might feel like he's trying to goad her into doing something that will give him a greater opportunity to cry victim, and she's not going to fall for it. You know, I think the rule of law should assert itself, and he should be detained pending trial. But apparently no judge is of that opinion yet.
So let's talk about, obviously, let's go to Fani Willis for a second. So in a new filing release yesterday, she punched back at Mark Meadows, who's trying to get his charges in the Georgia racketeering case moved to federal court. So talk to us about that. That's getting a little too much in the legal weeds for me. And you're the best at breaking this down for us.
Yeah, so I'll try to break it down to its bare bones. He's trying to get his prosecution moved from state court to federal court, claiming that, well, some of what I did was part of the official duties of a chief of staff. It wasn't, but here's the thing. It doesn't really matter whether his case is tried in state court or federal court. The evidence of his guilt is overwhelming. The evidence of guilt comes from his own written communications, among other things, and he will be held accountable. In which court almost doesn't matter as much as the fact that he'll be held accountable. I happen to think Judge Steve Jones, who's presiding over this transfer hearing, is going to say, you know what, 99% of what you did was not covered by your official duties as chief of staff, so we're just going to go ahead and leave your case in state court. But if he goes the other way, don't despair. He'll be convicted in federal court.
Okay. Because obviously if they get to federal court, the point is going to be he's going to try to have it just dismissed in general on whatever executive nonsense, immunity, something.
But it won't be because the judge just issued an order saying, listen, I would like the parties, the prosecution and the defense, to answer this question for me. What if just one of the things he did was within the scope of his official duties, but everything else he did was not? What does that mean for whether I should transfer his case? But the signal he's sending is that if he transfers the case, he's not going to dismiss it because most of what Meadows did was not within the scope of his official duties.
Yeah, and does the crime fraud exception come in here? Because, again, doesn't none of that matter if it's in the commission of a crime?
Well, the crime fraud exception is more about the attorney-client relationship. Oh, okay. And that is not at play when it comes to Mark Meadows as chief of staff for Donald Trump.
Okay. So much criming, so much legal stuff to remember. Evelyn would skip some things. She was in such a hurry when she was teaching me law school. You tweeted, it's pretty clear DA Fani Willis doesn't even own a pair of kid gloves. She tells the judge she's ready to try all 19 Rico co-defendants together in October, as you've been discussing. So talk to us about what that means. And then, obviously some want to sever it. And she obviously there's more of an interest in her doing it all together. But tell us how you think that's going to shake out.
Yeah, so I just wrote a piece for MSNBC Daily. It went up the other day. I try to break down this severance thing. Severance simply means defendants file motions saying, hey, judge, I want you to pull me out of the big case and give me my own trial. So right now, the judge hasn't ruled on any severance motions, but here's what he has done, which is like a kissing cousin to severance. He has granted Cheese Bros requests for a speedy trial. So what does that do? It sort of naturally pulls him out of the big case, and it puts him in for trial in October. Sidney Powell has also filed a motion for a speedy trial. So that's not really a severance thing. That's just these two defendants saying, we want to go to trial right now. Now, listen, that kind of screws over the other defendants. You know why? Because when those other defendants are yelling and screaming about, I need more time, Judge McAfee can say, well, wait a minute. Cheesebro and Powell are going to trial in October. In fact, they demanded that. They can be ready. Why can't you? And Fani Willis has said, you're darn right. I want to do all 19 defendants in October. There's going to be a lot of legal motions filed, a lot of legal wrangling before all the dust settles. But you're going to have a batch going early, and then you're probably going to have a couple of batches of co-defendants going a little bit later.
Okay. And so obviously yesterday, the Trump pled not guilty in Fulton County, and the judge said the trial will be televised and live streamed. That's a sharp departure from the other cases regarding Trump. Cameras are not permitted in federal courtrooms, I guess, as you know. But this, I think, is really good news, because we keep talking about how do we ever get back to one set of facts in this country, right? We were just talking about even, Bill Clinton. At least everybody, we had one set of facts. You could say how you felt about him being impeached or not, but we knew there was one set of facts, right? So talk to us about that.
So it's so important that the Georgia trial will be televised, because if it wasn't, you know what you would have? You would have all these defense attorneys rushing to the cameras at the end of the day, and they may misrepresent what happened in court. They may say, oh my God, the government's evidence fell apart. The prosecution is crashing and burning, proving it's a witch hunt. And here's the thing. The prosecutors can't step to the cameras and say one single word. We're not permitted to. So it would be a one-sided fight in the court of public opinion. But now, if we can all see it with our own eyes, it will tamp down the opportunity for that kind of propaganda and disinformation from the defense. And then the next battle is we've got to get cameras into the federal court.
Yeah. Glenn, isn't that the beautiful piece of this for you, probably as a federal prosecutor, is exactly what Giuliani, Trump, all these people are doing, going on shows and opening their yap. It's just, it is running up against that. You can't do that in a court of law. You can't go down on the, Rudy just keeps doubling and tripling down on lying. What was he on, Jody? Where is this? Hang on. Give me 10. This is on, I don't know, some radio show. Yeah. Here's Giuliani.
Yes, I'm going back.
I didn't knock on her door.
You did not knock on her door.
I interpreted what I saw on a tape. I still interpret it that way. I mean, there's no doubt they were screwing around.
And you're allowed to do that in America. You're allowed to be suspicious.
An opinion is not covered under libel. The case should be thrown out because it's based on opinion. If we had anything close to there's no way to describe this judge as fair. You can't possibly describe this judge as anything other than an over-the-top Biden acolyte who has put people in jail for ridiculously terrible periods of time for merely committing trespass.
I will say he sounds sober for the first time in quite some time.
He did sound a little sober.
You tweeted, Judge rules Rudy Giuliani is liable for defaming Georgia election workers Shea Moss and Ruby Freeman. The question now is, how much will the jury order Rudy to pay the two women in compensatory and punitive damages? So they've already ruled he defamed them, and here he is repeating these. What happens from this? Him repeating these lies again yesterday.
It's kind of like the situation Trump found himself in after E. Jean Carroll mopped the floor with Donald Trump in the trial. The jury found that he sexually battered and defamed E. Jean Carroll. He went out and did it again, and she sued him again, and she's going to get more money from him. This is Rudy Giuliani following Donald Trump's playbook. And here's the thing, Steph. The judge found that Rudy Giuliani defamed Shea Moss and Ruby Freeman because Rudy put it in writing. He admitted that I lied about and defamed them. Come on now.
Listen to one more. If you're his attorney, here's Rudy.
It's clear that they were hiding the ballots because for the whole day they were under a table with a big black cloth over there. It looked like a gigantic funeral setting. And then they waited till the people were thrown out to get the ballots out from under the table.
Okay. I mean, am I taking crazy pills? Wasn't this already all covered?
No.
Where he's like,
this has been resolved. And you know what I hear when Rudy says that kind of stuff? Cha-ching, 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 because the jury will have the opportunity to order more and more and more money damages because the trial on how much Rudy should be made to pay is still upcoming. I mean, this dude is just a stone cold idiot at this point.
And Glenn, I made a Rudy drunk joke because that's what I do. But you made a legal point. You said Jack Smith is investigating the potential impact of Rudy's drinking intoxication on Trump's claim that he was relying on the advice of counsel. Of course, relying on the advice of drunk counsel is problematic. I mean, the fact this has become part of the legal record, but it is a legal issue, isn't it? If he knew...
And here's the thing, Steph. reliance on advice of counsel is actually a defense. Think about this. If I take a deduction on my taxes because my tax attorney told me I could and he was wrong, I actually get to raise a reliance on advice of counsel. You know what I can't do? I can't raise reliance on advice of my co-conspirators. Because he was in a conspiracy with his attorneys to violate the law, the Electoral Count Act, and other federal statutes. And so you can't say I was relying on counsel when your counsel is your criminal associate.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of stuff that, again, you can say in public but doesn't fly in court. So Trump said he averted a nuclear holocaust with North Korea and saved millions of lives during his time as president, according to a newly released deposition in his New York civil fraud case. For nearly 7 hours, they grilled him about his company's business practices and children's roles within the Trump organization. When asked how his position changed within the Trump organization when elected, he said he was very busy. And he said, considered the presidency the most important job in the world, saving millions of lives. Again, not a legal defense. And he said, I think you would have had nuclear holocaust if I didn't deal with North Korea. I think you would have had nuclear war if I weren't elected. And I think you would have a nuclear war now if you want to know the truth. He then said his sons, Don Jr. and Eric, he said they became more intensely involved with the company. I was virtually not involved at all. I rarely had anything to do with anything having to do with the company.
He's throwing them under the bus.
So throwing his kids under the bus like a coward would do. And secondly, that doesn't hold any weight. His opinion that he averted nuclear holocaust is not a defense, is it?
Steph, I was reading those excerpts from Donald Trump's testimony, and you guys just hit on the ones that I picked up on. He threw Eric under the bus as making the final business decisions. He said, I prevented a nuclear holocaust and I saved millions of lives. Then he went on to say, and my friends say, I am the smartest person the most honest person in the world. I didn't continue to read the transcript. I don't know if he said he was more powerful than a locomotive and able to leap tall buildings in a single bound, but that was pretty much the tone and tenor of it. Steph, put him on the stand at trial, please. Yeah. Let people see what this man is all about, because he is done in a court of law.
Yeah. Let me give you one last one. So here's Roger Stone on Alex Jones. Okay.
Great.
Talking about the potential fake electors charge. Okay.
Let me be very clear. I don't know this guy Cheeseborough. I've never talked to him. I don't know John Eastman. I've never talked to him. wasn't in touch with anyone at the White House. They say that a woman named Cassidy Hutchinson testified to the January 6th committee that the president told Mark Meadows to call Roger Stone and General Flynn on the 5th to find out what was going to happen on the 6th. Alex, I'm telling you, that phone call never happened.
Then this is an interesting, hang on, followed up with.
There's no record of that phone call because it never happened. I've never talked to Mark Meadows on the phone. In fact, I've never communicated with him in any form. I think I met him in a green room when he was a congressman at Fox many years ago. So that is just a bald-faced lie.
These guys are just on, prosecuting or defending themselves on podcasts and radio shows and God knows what. I mean, what is your take on that, Glenn?
I can't wait for the next indictment to drop in Washington, D.C., because I think the folks who were involved in the Willard War Room criminal operation, Stone and Bannon and Flynn and maybe Alex Jones, we don't know. But Jack Smith is just getting warmed up, trust me, because when you look at the first indictment that he dropped in D.C., he said, for openers, here are 6 unindicted co-defendants, co-conspirators who committed crimes with Donald Trump. Steph, do you really think he's going to announce that to the public, that he's got the goods on these people, and then say, but I'm not going to indict them? Of course he's going to indict them, and I think he's got the Willard War Room, coconuts in his sights too.
I mean, as a prosecutor, you must just say, keep talking, man. They just keep, it's the hubris that they've gotten away with it, forever, since, Dick Nixon, obviously. And they just keep, the brazenness. And as you say, like, this is on the record, right? Like, now that you have him on these shows making certain statements, and it's just, but it really, the hubris still gets me every time.
Yeah, and every word they utter, if it's incriminating, it will be introduced against them at their trial.
Yep, absolutely. All right, you can see more of that brilliance and beauty October 21st here in Los Angeles. Woo-hoo! Sexy Liberal with Rob Reiner and all the other sexy liberals. And we've been working on some more surprises. Yeah. Get tickets now. Love you, Glenn. Oh, hi, I'm here with Sexy Liberals Frangela to announce that the October 21st LA Sexy Liberal show is going pay-per-view. Squee! With Rob Reiner, Glenn Kirschner, and then some draft picks to be named later, right, Frangela?
Absolutely. Right. It's going to be so lit.
It's always sexy. It's always liberal. Get your tickets now. You can live stream it from anywhere around the world. It is sexyliberal.com, the star-studded LA Sexy Liberal only 2023 show. Squee!